Could I ask you a few questions?
Of course, Seeker.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
My practice is mainly selling charms and potions with magic power, such as gree-gree and voodoo oils. You know, everything from unrequited love to wandering spouses to winning a lawsuit. But my spells and charms are powerful, and they work.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Much of a voodooienne's work is protecting her clients from the spells of others. I make special protective gree-gree to be worn in secret. They keep evil spells from working against my clients.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
The recipes for voodoo charms have been handed down from master to apprentice for centuries.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I have told you all it is proper for you to know, Mr. Knight.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Why, that has nothing to do with me and my clientele. But I can tell you that you should stay as far from it as possible. There is badness there. Very bad.
So you don't think the voodoo aspects of the case are fake?
Fake? Let me tell you about fake. If I get information through the grapevine and make use of it, is that fake? No. That is part of a voodooienne's power. If people don't believe, there's not much I can do. But if they do believe, that is a part of my power too. But there are things, monsieur. Things not even a little bit fake, I can tell you. Believe it or not, but stay away from it.
What do you mean? Do you know something about the case?
I work hard on fine-tuning my spiritual antennae, Monsieur Knight. And I get a clear signal from that direction. Beware.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is the center of voodoo practice in the United States.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is a fascinating city with many dark secrets.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is my favorite place in the world.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? You mean like my beloved Grimwald? She's a python, you know, quite deadly in the wrong hands. I was trained by one of the great voodoo queens to learn how to hypnotize and handle snakes.
Tell me more about snakes.
Oh, I wouldn't want to give away my trade secrets.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve. It is the greatest night of the voodoo year. There is always a traditional conclave on St. John's Eve. Most of our voodoo churches these days hold functions in the church hall. But in the old days, they had ceremonies out in the wild. They wore animal masks and had a huge bonfire and dancing. I used to go when I was an apprentice. Sometimes in the swamp, you know, Bayou St. John. Sometimes at the lake, Lake Pontchartrain.
Do you have any idea what Cabrice encore means?
No, I don't.
Do you know anything about Veves?
I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh, yes. She was the first of the great voodoo queens.
Tell me about the animal masks.
I saw them used once or twice when I was younger, but you don't see them much anymore. They're too close.
Too close to what?
Just bad karma.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
There are many voodoo churches in New Orleans, no?
Yes, but have you heard of a secret voodoo houndfall?
Wherever did you hear such a ridiculous story? There is no such thing.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
It is the oldest, darkest heart of voodoo.
Do you know anything about black voodoo?
There are some things it's better not to know about, Monsieur Knight.
Does Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
I don't know anything about that.
Have you ever heard of Dambala?
I don't know anything about that.
Have you ever heard the word Schattenjäger?
I don't know anything about that.
Tell me about yourself.
Yes? What would you like to hear?
How did you get into this business?
I trained in the voodoo arts for many years with the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Who's she?
You have never heard of her? For shame. I can see you know little of the world of magic.
I'm beginning to get that impression, yes. What kind of people come to see you?
Seekers after the truth, such as yourself.
Do you do anything else?
I'm a voodooian. That is plenty. It takes much spiritual effort.
How many voodooians are there?
No one knows exactly. Many practice in secret. There are probably hundreds. But of course, the level and the power of the voodooians differ greatly, depending on their training and natural gifts.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived in Nolens. I came here from Kansas as a young woman.
I can't think of anything.
Very well.
Dr. John tells me you're a voodoo practitioner of some kind?
Yes, I'm a voodooian. A voodoo priestess.
About Grimwald.
What about her?
Where did you get Grimwald?
She belonged to a traveling reptile show. She was being terribly mistreated, so I offered to buy her. She's named after a spirit guide I had once. The spirit Grimwald was a very powerful female snake priestess in Egyptian times.
Grimwald doesn't sound Egyptian.
I only know what the spirits tell me, monsieur. I am sure they know better than we.
How did you learn how to handle Grimwald?
I told you, a great voodoo queen taught me. She learned from Marie Laveau herself.
Uh-huh. Fascinating. Would you consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
No, I couldn't do that. You might do some gree-gree of your own, no? One must be very careful with such things. Hair clippings, nail parings, and snake scales.
How about showing me how you handle Grimwald?
Really? You would like to see me dance, perhaps?
That would be swell.
No matter what you see, do not be frightened.
I'll give it my best shot.
Gabriel grabs the shed snake skin while Magenta is otherwise occupied. Gabriel magnifies the shed skin from Magenta Moonbeam Snake. The snake scales are hued brown. They don't match the scales from Lake Pontchartrain.
There. Truly inspiring, isn't it?
That's certainly one word for it. Do these symbols mean anything to you?
Ah, the voodoo code. It is very secret, yes. I studied it with my mentor, the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Great. Can you tell me what it says?
I'm afraid I could never translate this code for an outsider such as yourself, Monsieur Knight.
Are you sure you can't translate this for me?
As I said, it's a very secret code.
Surely you can see I'm trying to learn as much as I can here. How am I supposed to become an insider if you won't help me?
That's true, I suppose. Perhaps if the Loa were to grant you their approval.
How do I get that?
By using my Ask the Loa machine.
A machine?
Yes. A spirit guided me to it years ago in an antique store. and its guidance has never faltered. I trust it implicitly.
I see.
The spirits often work in mysterious ways, Mr. Knight. If you aren't willing to ask...
No, I'll ask. Let's see here.
Well done, Mr. Knight. You have earned the Loa's approval.
Truly, it's an honor. Now, about that code.
Let me see. Well, some of it is nonsense, I'm afraid. Whoever wrote this wasn't very good.
That's all right. Just tell me what it says.
It starts with a D and J. Then... okay, this part makes sense. It says, Conclave tonight, bring... well, then there's more nonsense. F-W-E-T-K-A-S-H. The last bit might mean cash. Fresh cash? Doesn't make much sense.
That's okay. Thanks. D.J. Conclave K-A-S-H. It's a start.
I'm happy I could help.
Why is it so dark in here? Dr. John? Hello? Uh-oh. You bastard!
Good day, Mr. Knight.
That thing just tried to kill me.
He did. I am sorry. The museum is closed today, you see. We were not expecting visitors. But if you will excuse me, Mr. Knight, I must go look for him. He is incredibly valuable.
You don't need to ask twice. I'm out of here. By the way, you might want to lock your door the next time you're closed.
Not a bad idea. Goodbye, Mr. Knight.
What happened to you?
Who, me? Nothing. Why?
You're kind of a pale green color. Come here.
Pale green, you say? Charming.
What's that on your face?
I'm sure you'll tell me.
Looks like a sparkly or something. Got it.
I love it when you pick stuff off my face, Grace.
Well, excuse me.
There's something in the ashtray. There's a snake scale in the ashtray. Gabriel finds a snake scale in the ashtray. It's a souvenir from the museum's python. He places the two scales together. The two iridescent scales are a perfect match. 3 nearly identical little girls are playing jump rope outside the station. There's something a little off about them.
Hey, hey, hey.
Knight, come on in.
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo hound fall?
I told you, you're nuts. Drop it.
Crash is dead.
What? What are you talking about? I let him go yesterday.
Yeah, and I watched him die yesterday at St. Louis Cathedral.
At the cathedral? I guess he was trying to get a last-minute A-train ticket, huh? Poor bastard.
I think you should go find the body at the morgue. He was killed by the voodoo cult. Crash said...
Crash said? What, he mentioned pink elephants too?
Aren't you going to investigate?
Civilians. Did you actually see someone kill him?
No, actually I was with him when he died. Could have been poison, though.
Yeah, well, when they get the body in, they'll do a quick autopsy, standard procedure. If it's anything other than an overdose, I'll get a report.
There's been another murder. A professor at Tulane.
Oh, Christ. You're not gonna start this again.
Just listen. This guy's name is Hartridge. He was a professor in African Studies at Tulane. Well, yesterday I went to see him about the voodoo murders case. He agreed to do some research for me. He calls me up this morning, tells me he's on to something big, and when I get over there, the guy's dead.
You know, you're really getting your ass in a sling over this thing, Knight.
It's not about me. Look, Hartridge's death looked just like Crash's. I'm telling you, they were both murdered, and by the same people who did the voodoo murders.
Did either Crash or this new guy have their hearts ripped out?
No.
Then there's nothing to link either to the voodoo murders M.O. Besides that, the case is closed, Knight. If the coroner's report asks for a homicide investigation on either of these guys, fine. But it's not going to be related to the voodoo murders case unless we find damn good reason to do so.
But I'm the link to the voodoo murders case. Don't you see?
Look, if I were you, I wouldn't repeat that to anyone. Because if I weren't an old friend of yours, I might take you seriously and lock you up. As it is, maybe you should start keeping your mouth shut and not involve other people with this shit if you think it's so dangerous.